Hi guys, welcome to this module on named cells and named ranges. First of all, named cells. I'm going to name this cell VAT, so I click on the cell and then I go up to the top left where the name box is and type VAT. Then I press enter. Now I must press enter, otherwise it is not accepted by Excel. Once I've done that, I can use that anywhere in this file, so I'm going to click on D3 times VAT, use the word. Two things happen when I do that. The color changes and I get a small spreadsheet symbol appearing, which means that Excel has accepted the name. I tick the formula and then I pull the formula down. Now because I've used the name, I don't need dollar signs because that VAT cell is absolute. And once you've used a name or named a name, I can type equals VAT anywhere in this sheet and it will pull it through for me, just not formatted. So if I go into a different sheet, let's say I want the VAT on this figure, I type equals that times VAT and it will work it out. So it's great for variable rates and VAT obviously. It's got another use, which is this. If I click back into the name box and type VAT and press enter, it's a navigation aid, so it will quickly jump back to where the name is. Now if I just quickly show you how that bit works, let's type A12345, enter. Let's say I've got some of my work down at that cell. If I click into there and type my first name and press enter, I've named that cell. So instead of scrolling down there, I can just type my name and get there, or whatever you want to call it. I'll just do another one on a different sheet. Let's say I've got something on this sheet, AS1234, enter. That's where I'll do some work as well. I'm going to name that my second name. Press enter. So I've now got 3 named cells in this file. If I type my first name up there and press enter, it takes me to A1235 on that sheet. If I type my second name and press enter, it will take me to AS1234 on this sheet. And if I type VAT, it will take me back to my original position. So if you've got large spreadsheets or you find yourself scrolling up and down or across each day, you might want to consider using a name to get there and as a navigational aid. Now when you name cells, there are a few things that can go wrong. I've already mentioned the first one, and that is you must press enter on the keyboard, not click away with your mouse, otherwise that's like cancelling it off. So that'll be slightly frustrating because you would have done it correctly and then cancelled it off. You can't do this either, so if I type some text and then a space, press enter, you can't have spaces, it doesn't like spaces, but you can create sentences by doing this, using the underscore symbol to daisy chain or join things together. That way you can have sentences. Another thing you can do wrong is you forget to click on the name cell and you just start typing there. That's obviously a mistake, so that's just an undo. And then the worst one is this. Let's say that you should have named A11 VAT. You can't just go to A11 and type VAT and press enter, because it'll do the navigational feature, so it just goes there. You can't go up into the name box and press delete and press enter. It looks like it's done it, but if you click back onto it, it hasn't actually deleted it. This is just a quick way of putting names on. You cannot delete or repoint names from this box. If you've named the wrong cell, you have to do this. Go to the formulas tab. In the middle of the formulas tab, you've got the name elements, and we need to go into this one, name manager. We find VAT, which is right down the bottom. Click on VAT and then you would repoint it. So if it was meant to be A11, you would change that to a letter A and click the tick. We don't need to change that because that's correct. So that's naming a single cell. This green table is naming what's called ranges or lists. So I've highlighted all the 40s and they're called hours, overtime's called overtime, rate's called rate, and if I just miss that one out, gross pay is called gross pay with an underscore. Now I didn't physically type these in, I didn't highlight those and then type hours, although I could have done. What I did was I highlighted this green table and I used this feature, create from selection, which is basically saying, do you want to use the labels across the top row and the labels down the left column to name these figures? Yes, I do. So I click OK, and that's what I did. So if I highlight that top row, that will say Stephen Saxton with an underscore. And as I've already shown you, hours, hours. And then you can use those words in the formula. So hours plus overtime in brackets, so that needs to be added up first, times by the rate. So what this does is allows anybody who is not really familiar with Excel to understand what formulas are doing. Because if this was not using names, it would be like this. It would be equals. I'd have to open the bracket, do a plus, click on that one, close the bracket, and then do times, and click on that. I would get the same answer, and it is easy to see in this small table, but on a bigger spreadsheet it's not as easy. So first of all I would have to go to H3, that's hours, and then I3 is overtime, times by J3, which is rate. So you're negating the need for that by using names. And I normally teach this on the intermediate course, and once I've taught this, every single example I use uses names. It makes it a lot easier to understand functions and formulas if you use names. It makes it a lot easier to understand the logic of a formula or a set of formulas if you've used names. Now the way it works is, as long as Excel can see the name for that row, it will work out the relevant answer. So if I copy that formula and just paste it off the screen out of sight for a minute, if I paste it there, it will see that row and give me the correct figures. However, if I paste it below the table, down here, it will not work because the names stop where the green stops. So what you would normally do if this was a proper spreadsheet, not just a training example, is probably name the whole column, and then it wouldn't matter where you typed that formula. Now because we've named the row and the column, this little table over here, if you click there, you can see I've got like a little lookup. So basically Stephen Saxton, and then there's a space there, take home. So it's looking at the intersection between Stephen Saxton and take home. And that one's looking at the intersection between Kevin Rule and take home. And I could type that formula anywhere in this file. Now I'm just going to go through a little example on this last sheet. Just need to get back to the top. I'm going to name this table and show you how to use names. So this is a very small table, very simple, and I could use formulas and normal Excel cell references and things like that. But that's not the point. The point of doing this is to make this user friendly for the whole team. So first off, I'm highlighting the table, including the labels. I'm going to click on create from selection, use top row labels to name these spaces and these figures. Yes, I want to do that. Click OK. Now, as always, you should check that that's worked. So, yeah, duration, I'll just check subtotal. Yeah, so it's the whole column, not an individual cell. They're called nothing, they're just cell references. The whole list or range is called duration. Now, to use names there, I go equals, I start typing duration and it comes up with a little tip. That's a function, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. This is a little Excel icon. I'm going to double click on that. I could have typed that out, but if it's a big sentence, you can double click it, it puts it up there. Then I want to do a times, and I'm going to type cost, duration times cost, and I did just type that out. I'm going to click the tick, 1233 is the correct answer. I'm going to double click that down with a little black cross, and I'm moving on to the next one. So now I want to know what the VAT is on these figures. So equals, start typing subtotal comes up with a little Excel spreadsheet, double click on that, times VAT. Now VAT is named on the first sheet that we did. I don't actually need to double click on that because it's only 3 letters. I can tick that and it will pull it through 24660, and then I'm double clicking that down. And last but not least, I need to add these two together, so it's going to be equals, start typing sub, double click on subtotal, plus start typing VAT, but this time I want the VAT amount column, double click, tick, 1479.60, double click the formula down, and that gives me the result. So anybody clicking into any of these cells can work out what the formula is doing, whether they know how to use Excel or not. So you're doing this to make it user friendly. That's the end of this tutorial. If you like this video, please subscribe below.